Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Hey everybody, Lina Rugova is not your typical immigrant. She did not want to leave Kazakhstan to come to America. She only came to America because her mother immigrated here and told her she was coming. Lina tells us about her coming to America's story as an unwilling 15-year-old Lina. She spoke English, but it was British English, which to us is not English at all. It's more of an English dialect. She went directly to the Bronx with a Spanish-speaking stepdad in a Puerto Rican-dominant neighborhood. This has all the makings of a great immigrant story. Lina now has opened and closed a few businesses in the medical field and is now funding and launching a nonprofit business incubator in San Antonio, Texas. This nonprofit will support underdeveloped and underserved communities of minorities, immigrants, and ex-felons. Welcome, Lina. Today I'm speaking to Lina Rugova, and Lina is the first in the family to be a serial entrepreneur. So welcome, Lina.
Good morning, Sandi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we have quite a bit to talk about, being first in the family to be a serial entrepreneur. So let's hear from you how that started.
This started probably around 15 years ago. So my mom immigrated from my country, I'd say roughly 25 years ago.
And what country was that?
Kazakhstan. So it's down south from Russia, former USSR. And she came here all by herself. She was on a working visa. Working for a couple of years, a couple of jobs, and then eventually brought me in here with all the resistance that I had in me because I was in my teenage
years. Coming to America story for you. You did not want to.
No, I did not. I was a teenager who was just getting into having friends and having a boyfriend and high school. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. So pulling me from all of that was a little bit traumatic, I would say, especially coming to a foreign country.
Yeah.
But there's another language involved.
I could imagine.
So she brought me in, and the funny story about this is the first thing I asked her before bringing me in is, Mom, are you bringing me to a Russian community being of a Russian heritage? Right. And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we have, yeah, it's all good. This is what it's all about. You're not gonna miss anything. You'll be fine. My mom was already married to my stepfather. My stepfather is Puerto Rican. So we have Spanish, English, and Russian. So this multicultural family.
Yeah.
And the first thing, I come with airplane, and she brings me home. And guess where we live? We live in the Bronx. So far away from.
Better off in Brooklyn. There's a big Russian
community. Right. Far away from all the community. The good part of the Bronx is actually has a lot of cultures in it. Yes. There's a huge, strong Russian community in the Bronx. We were actually living in a very Puerto Rican dominant neighborhood, and it was actually up and coming. It was literally 5 minutes away from Manhattan, so didn't really have any issues. So I come to US. She throws me to high school. And I already originally did have English language, but coming that I come from another country, European countries tend to teach children British English and not American English.
Right.
So there was this huge adjustment coming from one English to another.
Did you understand the slang in high school?
It was really difficult. First 3 months was really difficult. Like they kept calling me a sophomore and I had no idea what that means. No idea.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I didn't
So,
realize that. Is that not a British English term?
but it's not just, it's not a British, we just never learned these terms. Like our high school, we only have 11th grade, we don't have 12th. And there's no such separation from elementary to middle to high school. It's just one school. You go from age 6, whatever, 5, 6, all the way to the 11th grade. Yeah, it's the same school.
Wow.
The only difference we had is we had a separation in the schedule of the school. So morning shift would be for earlier and afternoon shift would be for later, for higher grades. That was the only separation, but we were all in the same school. So to me, coming here to high school, being thrown as a sophomore, not knowing what that is, and everybody called, yeah. It's not even a actually, I was a junior, I wasn't even a sophomore. I was a junior, but they kept calling me, are you a freshman? Or you're a sophomore, and I had no idea what that means. So I come home like, Mom, what's a freshman? She's like, well, freshman is somebody who's new. I'm like, oh, okay, well, they know I'm new.
They're fresh.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, they keep calling me that. And then my stepfather had to explain to me what it is. He's like, no, you're a junior. You in 11th grade. You're like graduating almost. So no, you're not a freshman. You're not a sophomore.
Okay. Oh, that is too funny. I'd never had that problem because I'm an immigrant also. But I've been here since a little child. So this is really all that I know. And my family is from Jamaica. So whenever I go back to Jamaica, I have to learn that culture.
Yes.
Even though Brooklyn has a huge immigrant, Jamaican population. But I understand that.
It was difficult switch because I was thrown into the English language. Coming from another country, you're learning that language. It's not a conversational language. You're just learning as you go what's most important about the language and culture, but you don't really learn the conversation of it. So coming here and having my stepfather, he's Puerto Rican, they speak so fast, and speaking English was just completely throwing me off because I had to figure out what he was saying, what he meant, and trying to basically catch all of this. The transition only took about 3 months because language was not an issue. It's just the whole thing was an issue. It's just where we lived and the school. I went to a Bronx school. Like I lived, through everything. Like I had to take 2 buses to go to school every morning. It was far, and it wasn't private school, it was public school. So it was a lot of adjustment. Yeah, a lot of adjustment. But, I made a lot of friends and I met my future husband, who's actually current husband. So my husband and I have been together for 19 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Big. Oh my goodness.
So a lot of things were happening. We had our baby together very young, right off high school. I knew I was always ambitious. Like there was never a simple thing or simple way for me to do things. I had to do more. I had to go somewhere, I had to do something. It could have stemmed from this whole separation from my extended family, coming here and having absolutely no one here except my mom. Right. It was that difficult part where I had to find myself, had to figure out what it is that I want to be doing, what I want to be known for, what difference I want to make. So
did you have an idea before you left Kazakhstan of what you wanted to do?
No.
Oh, so this was, you're forming your opinions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice. Back in my country, the things that I actually love doing is I went to a lot of different, I'm a film math, so I think that kind of sticks with me where I had to keep learning things. So back home, I had a certificate I was a certified manicurist and basically doing manicure and pedicure. Okay. I was certified makeup artist. Like I went through all these things. I had this artistic side of me. Yeah. I like to draw. I like to do, certain things when I have time. But
creative.
Yeah. So I always went and did something extra. I didn't want to be a makeup artist or a hairstylist or do nails for a living. I wanted to know how to do it. I didn't want to do it for a living. So, we had a baby young together. So there's a lot of changes there. I had to work. College had to be put on hold. And every job that I would get, it had to be a job that I truly liked. I didn't want to just get a job. Don't just go and get a job just because you have to make money. That was my thought. While I was pregnant, I was working at the retail store right next to my house, just because I had to get a cell phone, and I knew that my mom was not going to get me a cell phone. She's already paying for the healthcare and for this baby's coming. So there's a lot of things happening. So I didn't want to rely on her. So I had to get a job but then I realized, no, retail is not for me. Sales is not for me. Food industry is not for me. I'm not doing it. I'm a princess. I'm too good for that. The work
that's our food industry for me was the customer service side. I'm very impatient, and I lasted one day in Burger King.
Yeah.
One day, literally. So I realized, okay, I am good with people, but I'm not good with customer service in a retail environment. And I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, which is a retail store, so very high-end retail store. But I worked in the corporate office. And God forbid, anytime they sent me to the store, because at Christmas time, the busiest time, they wanted help in the store. And they're like, don't send Sandi back. Like, don't let
I have that little bit of me. I don't like tedious things. It's just boring to me. So I can't do the same thing over and over, which is why I realized retail is not for me. I can't be on my feet all day. I can't be stacking things. Like, give me like, now after I started growing up, there were jobs that I was realizing, like, the window stocking. Like, those are the things that would have probably excited me. But I never knew about these things. Like, if they would have let me use my creativity in some way, maybe.
You just have to find the right job.
Exactly.
I realize that too. It's not that I can't do retail. I just have to have the right job in retail, because that's how I wound up. Is at Saks, I started doing marketing.
Right.
And I'm like, this is what I do.
Right.
I started doing segmentation strategies. I'm like, this is fun.
Yes.
And people are like, oh my God, that's so boring. I'm like, this is exciting to me.
Exactly.
To really do that. So we just have to figure out our path.
Yeah. And it would have been good to have somebody to guide me through these things. But, my mom was already here. She had her job. She kind of trying to get through this on her own too. This is her own journey, and she's learning as she goes. And it's just been a couple of years since she's been in US and having a real job after coming off the working visa. So it was difficult. I truly didn't know what I want to be. I honestly still don't know what it is that I want to be when I grow up.
Than a lot of people, Lina. You're not that different.
Right.
A lot of us still say, oh my God, I don't know what chapter. I keep saying this is like my 4th chapter in life. I still don't know what I want to be. I want to be everything.
Exactly. But that's that creative mind. If I get bored, I start inventing things, which is why I basically thrive in chaos. For me, I have to be busy. I have to be busy to be focused on the things that I'm doing. If I'm bored, if there's a moment in my life where there's something not happening or nothing is happening, I start inventing. This invention is just, it's great part of your brain and your life and mindset. It not always gets you to the point where you need to be, because 1, you realize you don't have time for that new invention, for that new idea. Correct. And 2, you just, you already have so much stuff going on in your life. You have to figure out where the priority lies in that idea.
But that also energizes us. It gives us new options, because we're not just bored and stagnant in one thing. We're always looking for the next. And I find in business, you always have to be thinking ahead, like
Yeah.
what is next?
Yes.
So tell me about your business and well, tell me about your first business. What did you start?
So I had a couple of jobs before I opened my first business as I was trying to find myself and trying to figure out what I want to be doing. I'm not good at being employed because I just jump from a job to a job because I get bored. I get bored doing the same thing. So this is what's happening to me. I stay a year or two in one job and I just don't want to do it anymore. That's it. It just doesn't serve my purpose anymore. So I need to move on. So I'd find another job. Until I found a job, I was in a tech industry and a company where a client of theirs hired me as a contractor to do a job in medical billing.
Okay.
And that was exciting to me. I was so good with numbers and just so good with all this stuff. And I've been doing this. I had knowledge. I had somebody mentor me in this actually. It just didn't get anywhere, but I got this amazing job as a project manager in tech. So the client hires me as a contractor, and the first thing they would tell me is, we can't hire as an employee. You're going to have an LLC to be hired.
Okay.
And there was another girl that they were looking into. So they said, look, we want you both, but again, you're going to have to work as a contractor. This is a lot of work that needed to be done. So we formed an LLC, just a random thing, whatever. She's like, just whatever, just go do this, that. Yeah, she's like, go here, go there. This is what you need to do. Just file LLC, get a tax ID, and that's it. You'll be fine. That's what I did. Exactly what I did. We finished the contract. It took us about 18 months to finish the contract. We were done, finished. I was finished with the contract. I was fed up with that tech company. I don't do it anymore. So I left both. And then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, what is it? So now what? What am I going to be doing? And being that other LLC was just kind of a random thing, just because I had to do it, I decided to close the company and reopen something different. So I opened a second company that's called Exclusive Medical Management Services.
Okay.
This company was to do medical billing, but doing also consulting and management of the medical practices.
But I thought you didn't like it. I thought you didn't like
So I actually loved it because I started getting clients. As from that other contracting job, I got 2 clients from it.
Okay.
They were leaving the company and they said, look, we need you to help us reopening our own practice. So this is what I was doing. So I got 2 clients and I said, okay, I'm good at this. Let me do this. Okay. So I started doing this. It was about 5 years. At that point, I had to hire somebody to help me because it was just so much work. I was getting overwhelmed. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week for these clients that I had. Then I had to get off
having your own business.
Yes, because I thought I can do it all. I'm so good at this, and this is where the entrepreneurship and small business owners fail because they just think they can do it all.
Absolutely.
And
you don't grow. You can't really grow without help because you can't do it all.
Yeah. Which is when I realized, I said, okay, I can't do this from my home anymore because my home had a stack of papers. I had to get an office, so I got an office space. I hired a person. I actually stole her from my client. And this is, that client was just not a good fit for me. So I had to let go of that client and then steal the worker from them. So it's
That's a great learning too.
Yeah.
Your client.
Yes. You have to know what you want. You have to have a balance in your life. At that point, it's 5 years into my business. It was very successful. With the money that I made, I was able to buy a house.
Nice.
And I had my little one go to private school. So we were setting up and everything was going well. I was just so overwhelmed with it. I was way over my head with everything that's happening. Even having that one employee was just too much. So I was 6 months pregnant when I said, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is not what I want to be doing. I'm getting overwhelmed. This whole thing was eating me alive because I was spending most of the time in that office. I was pregnant. I was stressed out all the time. So And we were right in the middle of having setting up the mortgage and all of that stuff, that I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And so I just closed the company, found an employment for that employee, and this was it. And I said, I don't want to be doing this anymore. From there, I went to open other two companies. One was a medical collection agency. So collecting.
You stayed in the medical field. So.
Yes. Yeah, because I've been in that field for so long that I decided I'm good at this and this is what I know. So I'll stay there. That didn't last too long because I just didn't have it in me to pursue this whole collection. That the collection business is just very negative. Yeah. It's hard. It's negative. It's just not good for my soul. So I couldn't do it anymore.
You know what it is? You're asking people for money who don't have it.
Exactly.
Because if they had it, they would be paying it, and they just and the dodging, they try to dodge you or not answer the phone. It is a very negative business.
Yeah. So I said, I can't do this. I don't think this is a good thing for me. Like I said, I wanted to stay in the medical field, but I just said, you know what, it's not a good thing for me. So this was my husband's and my venture, and we closed it. And I said, you know what, he's still working full time. So just do what you do. I'll figure out what I want to do next. Right. The next business I opened was a jewelry designing business.
That's a big switch.
It's a big switch because that whole creative mind in me always thought I have to try something different. I have to stay away from medical field. I have to try something that drives my passion for my creativity. That didn't last long because when I started putting things together, we've been going through a lot of things in a lot of events and sourcing for these amazing jewelers. And as amazing as it was just too saturated. So when I did the market research, when I put the business plan together.
Explain to me, were you finding jewelers and putting them together?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure if you were designing that.
Yeah. Well, that was the idea initially, but then when we started going to all these events and I started learning about all these things where you can buy these things and you can buy them from different countries, from India, from Russia, from Africa, there's amazing jewelers that you could just buy and resell it here. And that was the idea. But I also wanted to go high end, but not in a way high end diamonds and gemstones. I wanted to do something similar to it, but more affordable. But I had a whole business model how I wanted to do. So I've put all of this together. I've had people, but by the time I started putting all of this together in the sense where, okay, we're ready to launch, I said, this is just not what I want to be doing anymore. I just don't think it was the right time. I was in New York, and actually for one of my clients in medical billing, his wife was doing this, and she had to close her shop because it just wasn't working. So I actually had a conversation with her, and we sat down, and she told me what, where, and how, and why, and basically put it in perspective for me. And then I had to sit down and think about it. Do I really want to be doing this, or maybe this is just not for me? Maybe I should just pause on this. Maybe I'll revisit this one day. But I'm kind of glad I paused it and didn't move forward with it, because I just feel like that type of business is just too saturated and you need to have thick skin. And after everything that I've been through in my other businesses, I knew that it's either my family or it's the business that I have to work for.
Okay.
So my last...
Did your mom... how did your mom feel? I know a lot of immigrants want their kids to just have a steady job and, go get a job and work at that job and, make your money. How did she feel about you starting your business?
My mom always supports me regardless of what it is I'm doing, but she's always skeptical. Always skeptical. Is this the right thing? You have one kid, now you have two kids, now you have three kids. Are you sure you want to be doing this? Maybe you should just find a job.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go back and finish your college, because I actually did start a college in my 20s. I just didn't get to finish because by then I popped the second kid, and it was just no way of me trying to keep up with business and kids and husband and just the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I said, but every time I would do something, I prove her wrong. I said, look, I buy a house with the money I make. I do this and I do that and I pay for this. And I always try to display all the things that work. I think silently she appreciates all the things I do, but she'll always judge me of everything I do.
Parent. That's just a parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know because I come from an immigrant family also. My mom always wanted me to have a steady job. And she couldn't understand when I left. Well, I was displaced after 9/11 from a very high level corporate job. And then I said, oh, I'm going to start my own business. What?
Right.
Like, it doesn't click. It doesn't, like, how could you go from having, this job, and you're getting well paid and you have a house and I can travel and take them on vacation, to you're going to start your own business, like a startup, and what are we going to do for money?
Yes. So luckily, because I got married young, I gained a second family. And so my mother-in-law is very supportive. Very.
Nice.
That family to me is much more closer than my own family, just because they support me every step of the way, always cheering for me, always so proud and happy. So my mother-in-law always pushes me, and they always believe him. It's like, yeah, they always say, Lina's like the smartest person in the family. Like, there's something going on, you go ask Lina. This is just the way things are. And I, truly appreciate and love the support that I get. But like I said, yeah, and their family is also immigrant family, and their family is actually a refugee family where they come from war country. Wow. So it's a huge adjustment, and I think it also depends on the type of upbringings you have. For instance, my mom comes from a solid family. Her mom used to be a tailor in a shop for many, many, many years, where it's a theater shop. So she had like exciting childhood. But then it was just me and my brother. So it's just two of us. But we were separated early on from when she left. He went to live with his dad. I was living with my grandma, so her mom. So it was technically later of my teenage years, I was raised by my grandma. Yeah. He was doing what he was doing. I was doing what I was doing. So it's kind of different, where my husband's family, they were together. Always together. Yeah. It's a large family. There's four siblings. And the mother-in-law just lets them do whatever it is they want to do, instead of, you have to be doing this, you have to be doing that. This is how you do it. So different. So it just depends on where you come from and what type of upbringings you have in a family culture, and just a lot of those things here. Being it's just my mom and I, it's just two of us versus them.
Your brother never came to the U.S.?
No, he lives in Russia. He moved away from Kazakhstan to Russia. He has his family there, and he started his own business. He started his business right after I started mine. It took him a little longer. He's never been employed though. He's always been hustling, doing certain jobs that would get him through whatever it is, but never had his own business up until I would say that was about 5 years ago when he decided to open his own store.
But you both have that entrepreneurial gene.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just gotta keep going, keep hustling. It's just, I think it's the type of life we've had, being here, being there.
Do you feel safer, like you can depend on yourself?
Oh,
or
totally.
You could depend on a job? Is that?
I never depend on anything or anyone. I always depend on myself. I also have I'm very optimistic, and I have a positive thoughts of everything. I never sit and think, what if something is going to happen next year? Oh my goodness, we're just going to run out of money. Or like last year, actually about 7 to 9 months, we lived over our savings. Everything that we've had, it was gone. just because of everything that happened last year. So I never had this thought that, okay, so what are we doing tomorrow? So my husband lost a job. I lost most of my clients. What now? What are we doing? What's happening? Never had that thought. It just keep going, keep pushing.
What did you do? What did you do? Did you continue? Did you, a lot of people, pivoted and did something else? Like, what did you do to sustain?
I didn't pivot. I'm a hustler. I would go and I start meeting people. I did more last year than I did in the last 4 years. Another thing, the really funny part is I moved from New York to Texas right before the pandemic. So there was a lot of changes. There wasn't just changes in everything that's happening in the world in the pandemic. I had changes in the market. I had changes in the people that I know. So my comfort of level in New York and having the clients and people coming to me was left there.
Yes.
You have to come to a new market, new culture, new surroundings. So I have to figure out myself. So in a way, I pivoted, but not really. I just kept going and kept dialing that number and emails and keep calling people and meeting people and trying to figure out where I can fit in.
And where did you fit in? What are you doing now?
So there's a lot of amazing things that I'm doing that have been growing in the last 5-6 months. I've met some amazing people. And the first project I'm doing is we're launching a nonprofit business incubator here in San Antonio, which aims to support underrepresented community, which would be the minorities, veterans, ex-felons, and immigrants.
And how is that? Are you funding that yourself, or
we are starting to fund ourselves in the first stages, but we will be seeking funds from. So there was a huge EDA, the Economic Development Administration grant that was available, that is still available until the end of April. But we actually aiming, probably in the next 6 months, we'll be aiming to funding for the nonprofit.
Wow. That's a huge initiative. What gave you the idea of doing that?
Well, after being here for a year and realizing that I'm a nobody and I don't know how to fit in, or I can't find the resources. My main problem was I couldn't find any resources. I was looking for people to meet. I was looking for networking. I was looking for business resources. Moving a business from New York to Texas is not a simple task. Yeah, I can just go ahead and open LLC, but I also want to keep one in New York. So there's a lot of things that I was looking that I couldn't find. And after speaking to a lot of people and community leaders in San Antonio, we figure out that there's a whole lack of resources. We have massive amount of resources centralized in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, and we have UTSA, University of San Antonio, that has a lot of resources. But people and small businesses don't want to do business with corporations. They don't want to go and seek help from corporate world. These are small businesses. So they want to find someone who can guide them and help them and basically hold their hands. And so everybody can figure this out and how they can fit into that community.
And the incubator environment in New York and New Jersey, this area is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many incubators, so much resources. Even the state gives you like a lot of funding to help small businesses. So I'm always surprised when I hear that's not the same someplace else. But I could see the smaller towns might not have the opportunity to have that.
So yes, this is exactly the problem. San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the United States, but it's very quiet. It's a large city with a small town mentality. I want to bring awareness to San Antonio. I want to open doors. I want to bring investors and venture capitalists and other businesses. I want to flourish the community. It's not that we are lacking resources specifically for small businesses. I just think it's really hard to find them. We have amazing initiatives like we have Launch SA, Launch San Antonio. They actually specialize in the food and beverage industry and others. We have Gigdom that specializes in tech and other foundations and business centers that are specifically for small business owners, but no one really knows how to find that. So I want to combine all of that, partner with all of them, and figure out how do we do this together? How do we make this work so that small businesses don't suffer, being that our economy is basically lives on small businesses. We need that.
Absolutely. And so when do you project that you can actually open?
So we're projecting we're going to launch in May or June the latest.
So you have a building already and you have like all the...
We don't have a building. We're doing it slightly different. We actually partner up with a community, a co-working space that has places in all the San Antonio areas, because San Antonio is large, it's very spread out. Okay. So we want to be able to participate in all those areas and put it together and combine them, basically bridge that gap in the community. So there's no need for space, but everything else is pretty much ready.
That's a great idea to do it with a co-working space.
Mm-hmm. They need business. We need business. San Antonio needs business. So this is the plan.
So the co-working space will be providing the space for the entrepreneurs. Is it free space, or they pay a smaller fee?
So there is a fee. There's always a fee. This is a co-working space. This is just how they survive. This is their business model. More or less, we're not trying to bring business to co-working space. Yes, that's, that is one of the in a business model. But what we're trying to do is bring people together and just help them in any way we can. This is more, we're doing this more to help the community and grow the community rather than just, we'll bring you more people, more entrepreneurs, more small business owners to this co-working space kind of thing.
And you said this is a nonprofit.
Yes, this is going to be 100% nonprofit, with the idea so that we can spread more awareness to San Antonio. Because the problem that we're trying to figure out is, what does San Antonio wants to be known for? So we have Houston known for medical, Dallas for oil, and Austin for tech. Well, what is San Antonio known for? What do you want to be known for? Every people that we speak to and every business, they all have different ideas what San Antonio is known for. So how do we...
That's true. I don't know.
Right. I don't know it either, right? Is it food? Is it tech?
Because of that, I really would have no reason to go to San Antonio.
Do you see, that's the problem, right? So we have actually, San Antonio is very historic. There's we have Alamo, that's what is known, it's history, but that's just about it. We have art, amazing museums. We have the Riverwalk, right? So there's amazing parts to San Antonio, but what do you really want to be known for? Is it a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or a little bit of that? Like, I want us to be known for innovation. How come?
I took a day trip to San Antonio. I don't even remember from where, but we did the Alamo thing. And if you were to ask me afterwards, like, what is San Antonio like? I would have no clue.
Yes.
Because I only saw the main tourist, drop off here, drop off there. And I really have no idea what San Antonio is about.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to fix. And another initiative that we're actually doing is with another business partner that I have, is we're trying to create our own media outlet. So we want to create our own news. We want to be our own media for San Antonio. We want to highlight these small businesses. We want to highlight the young talent we have in here. We want to basically shout out from the roof and bring awareness to everything that we do and everything that's happening in San Antonio. So more people would be interested in this.
That's a brilliant idea. If you were in New York, I would not say that, because there's so much media in New York. You just get lost.
Yes.
But in San Antonio, that is a great idea.
Yeah.
Just repurpose the stuff that works.
Exactly. Yes. A lot of work. We also have a meeting with the mayor so that we can kind of strategize this together and see, maybe we can make this a city initiative, some parts of it. And so that's just.
And who are you doing that business with? Are you by yourself starting?
So this is a nonprofit I'm doing with a partner. His name is John Knotts. We are kind of doing similar things. So I'm a business consultant, a little bit of coaching, and lots of digital marketing. Versus him, he is a business consultant for medium to large organizations, and he's a true business coach, Forbes contributor, veteran. So he has a lot of corporate background and a lot of things that are happening and a lot of experience in one way. Versus me, I have something different that I bring to play. Right. So that's one. And the media I'm doing with another partner, Javier Rubio, and he has a film studio here in San Antonio. He's super passionate about art and all things community, and he has the same vision that I do, basically. And so this is we're trying to combine all of this together.
Oh, nice. So what number business is that? Like your fifth, sixth? You've gone through quite a bit.
So nonprofit would be 6 and the media would be 7, I think.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. And what, you talked about your creativity and not liking to do the same thing. Is that what really drives you? Do you think you'll have more businesses after this one?
Oh, definitely. I don't think I will ever stop. My problem is now I have to start working with I have to basically do what I preach. As I have to have focus on what I do. I have to have a clear exit strategy. What is it that I'm doing? What's my plan with all of this? So for now, I don't know. We're thinking. So nonprofit is a long-term goal, and there will be no exit strategy in the near future, in the next 10, 15 years for sure. As far as media, we don't know, also only because we don't know what angle we're trying to tackle. We just kind of go and see, and then make a true short-term, long-term goals, so that we can figure out what is it that we're doing with all of this, where are we going with this, what do we want to be known for, and how can we support our community with this.
How long do you think you'll give yourselves before finalizing what you want to do? Do you say, we'll do this for a year and see?
Yes, definitely. We'll do this for a year and then sit down and make a plan. Because we need data to collect data. In order for us to figure out where we're going, we need data. And without that, it's just kind of hard to know what's the actual exit strategy for all of this.
Right. So that's interesting to just kind of start these businesses. I start a business and then I really push it. I focus on it and try to make it work. So far, it's been good. I've made it work. This is my first business that I'm really doing all by myself. And that's also my coaching. I do the business coaching, but it's morphing into quite a bit, and strategically so. So I started doing the podcast as a marketing effort. I have courses. The main thing that I'm doing are the courses that I want to sell, pre-recorded courses online. And I've started that, and the coaching part. So it's been interesting. I'm kind of becoming you.
Right. Well, so as a business consultant, my whole business model is a little bit different. So I do a lot of strategic planning and scenario planning and marketing strategy. I don't really have a clear picture as to where I'm going with this. I just know that I have to make difference. I have to keep doing more of what I'm doing. I don't
make money.
Well, right. That's the last part of all of this. To me, I think I'm super passionate about what I do and the small businesses, and for them to do it the right way. That, the statistics that we have, that 70% of businesses fail within the first year. I truly want to change that. I want to make difference. This is how I want to change all of this. So if I can make change there, then maybe I'll know where I want to go. Who knows? Maybe I'm not going to be doing consulting all my life. Maybe I'll just write a book and start touring. I don't have really interest in courses. I don't know about that. I kind of like this whole one-on-one thing, given that tangible, more or less. Courses are tangible and consulting is intangible, but I feel that,
the thing is, we've been in COVID for so long, and we're just coming out of it. So you might have a longer runway to start up because people are just going back out to work, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's doing things at home
Mm-hmm.
most of the times.
Right.
So I know there's a percentage of people who are like, I'm never going back into an office. Because
Right.
I've heard people just say, I'm not going back into an office.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you project for the percentage of people that would want to come back into an incubator space or a WeWorks type of space? Do you predict that they'll just use it for short-term
Short
office
term.
needs?
Yes. Short term conferences. The popular thing that's been is a virtual address, right? Everybody wants to have an address and don't know how to get it. And another initiative that I'm trying to work with this whole thing with the business incubator and the media is a lot of commercial space is sitting. And if it's sitting, it's not generating revenue, it's not generating tax, which means that the city is going to be coming after a residential tax, which I think is unfair, but right, but they have to make their money somehow.
Exactly.
So I think we want to bring a lot of brick and mortar back to space because you need foot traffic. You need to create this community where you have somewhere to go, something to do, especially as big as this city. The people are going to be back. People are going to be back.
I think they will, but I think they will be coming to your incubator more so than a long-term office lease.
Right. I think if you are able to do your business online, how long I've been doing this? I've had an office for just that part only because I had an employee and because I had stack of paper, but now it's all digital. Everything is online.
Exactly.
I don't have an office space. I don't have plans, although maybe, I don't know. It just depends on what it is we do. Like if people truly going to be seeking our help and coming and saying, look, we need help, and they need that one-on-one help and hand-holding kind of thing. And that's what happens in the businesses who seek help. Then maybe we will have a permanent space. I don't know, but it just depends on what type of business you are, what product services you sell, and what audience you serve.
Yeah. I mean, I see it even in myself. I don't need an office space, but my husband, who's a lawyer, we're giving up. He works out of our home right now, and we're selling this house and moving to the other house where there's no space for an office. So he's doing exactly that this very minute, checking out incubator spaces or, the WeWork type of, or Regis or one of those temporary space where you can either go by the day or by the month.
Right. So I think what's happening right now is actually, I strongly encourage people to get into commercial lease space now because it's very cheap.
I'm
so cheap. You can sign at least 5-10 years long term, and you'll be balling. By the time everybody's going to be calling out next year, it's going to double and triple.
Yes. I'm actually looking at that. That's my other business, is buying a commercial property. Because I'm with you. I really believe you can get some good buys right now. And for the people who were trying to sell before, they might actually have a better chance of selling now. The price might be a little lower, but you'll get opportunities for buying.
Exactly. Yes, it's really hard to find residential and commercial space. Well, the hot market is here in Texas. Everybody's moving to Texas, right? There's a lot of reasons why people move to Texas. And this is also a military town. So the market is super, super hot. So it's really difficult to find residential space. As far as commercial, San Antonio, the comparison of Austin, $50 per square foot. San Antonio is $2.75 per square foot, right?
$2.75. I need to come to San Antonio.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is why we're trying to make this difference. Hey, we have a lot of empty space that you can bring Hollywood in here and make film studios here because it's so much cheaper here.
Wow, $2.75. That's unheard of. I can't even get. There's nothing in New York I could get for $2.75.
I know. This is why I'm saying right now is a hot market for this. People are trying to figure out what to do with all of this. We have a lot of commercial space just sitting. It's ready to go.
Well, do you have a lot of companies that are putting together to buy real estate?
Yes, we have a venture capitalist here. We have a lot of real estate investors here in San Antonio, which is totally normal. This is a lot of real estate here happening. So we also trying to bring them all together and figure out how do we make this work for San Antonio people who want to open a business, and how do we want to make for those if we do bring businesses from other cities and states.
Wow. Yes, Dallas did that. Dallas and Frisco. I love Frisco, Texas, because they did exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
They went out and marketed themselves at every conference that I attended. Frisco had a table,
Yes.
and they would give you all these incentives to come to Frisco. And now, oh my God, they're booming.
Yes. Well, this is exactly what we're trying to do. Yes. I've been in contact with a lot of business incubators in other cities. So like Dallas has a massive business incubator. They also have a lot of initiatives that they're working on with the mayors, which is what I'm trying to mirror here. Austin's kind of like, whatever, they have their own thing going on. And Houston has a lot of amazing things happening. So I'm trying to pull all of their resources and speak to a lot of people and see what it is that they do and that we can implement similar strategies in this city.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about, even here in New York, because whatever happens in New York tends to happen exponentially more in other towns. Because New York is so tightly congested.
Yes.
And property's off the chain in New York. You can't. There's nothing for $2. There's nothing for $2,000, and there's nothing for $20,000.
Yes, I used to live in Westchester. My office was in Yonkers, and my office space was, I don't know, just a little bit bigger than my office right now. It was $2,000 a month.
Yes.
So and it was and it wasn't that good at all. And I was next to some cigar bar, which all that smell was in our office. So yeah, no, you don't find. There's so many gems here.
$2,000 is cheap. So I know some of the people who are saying, I'm not going back to renting a space. They would pay $10,000 or more for Manhattan, a small space in Manhattan. And now that they're home, they're like, why was I paying $10,000 a month? Some have even been more profitable.
Yes. Well, yeah, because you're saving all this money. You can reinvest all the money that you're spending on lease, on marketing. Yes.
So, I'm excited, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen after this pandemic, after we get completely through it. I don't know if we'll ever get completely through it, but
I don't know what's happening in New York. New York has its own challenges with everything that's happening right now.
Opening up. We're opening up slowly but surely. The thing with New York, and I agree with it, is once we open up, people it's a free for all, right? We're not taking the same precautions and slowly opening up. Yes. People are like, oh, we're back. Right. And then that causes another wave, and then you have to shut down.
Look at us, Texas. We've been open 100%, totally fine. And guess what? It's always been laid back here all this time than it was in New York. So we were back in New York in September, and it was a chaos. It was horrible. It just, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go anywhere. You just mask. Versus here, it's like you go outside, nobody wears masks. You have to wear them in the store still, and you have to keep your distance. But it's much more laid back here, and I think Texas are very understanding as to what's happening, and they like their freedom. So they know that if you want to keep this freedom, then you have to keep up with everything that's that the law is telling you to do.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. New York, I find you're never gonna die in New York. Like, business is never going to go away. It might change how we do business, but we're never going to just sit back. I mean, I'm just amazed at people who are still doing business even more now from home in New York than they were before.
Well, majority of my clients that were in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, they closed. They went out of business. That was it. But it's not, I think it pushed them more to the point where, you know what, I think it's time to retire and to go. That's it. There's no reason to keep up with this for the next year or 2 or 3 and try to figure this out. Or some of them moved out.
Do you think because you came to New York first, like you learned a lot, as opposed to if you, let's say when you came to this country and you went to San Antonio? What do you think?
Definitely. You know, I'm a true New Yorker, and if people talk to me, they know it right away because I'm a go-getter and I have to do things yesterday, right? Versus here, they're very slow and very on their own pace. You know, this is their culture. It's like we do it when we do it. When we get to it, we get to it.
Yeah.
So it was a hard adjustment, and I had to learn it the hard way to figure out, you know, what it is and how it is. So yeah, definitely it made me much tougher living in New York and in the Bronx than it is here.
Yes, true. I say that of Brooklyn too. Like once you're here and you learn quickly. And I think and I'm prejudiced about this, if you come to New York first and you've lived in New York, you can live anywhere.
True, but I think it could be similar in any other large city that is kind of congested and competitive and busy and, you know, has all these great opportunities.
Well, I thank you. I can't wait to see what other business you get into.
I hope not, because this whole media thing just was born out of nowhere. This is what happens. Like I started inventing things and I started doing things and talking to people, and I'm like, oh, maybe we should do this. And it's like, yeah, it's a great idea. Okay, let's start rolling with this.
Yeah. Well, that's a true entrepreneur for you, Lina. So thank you. Anything more you want us to know about Lina?
Not much to know. Just say keep pushing, keep going, don't give up. There's always something exciting on the other end of it.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of my podcast and being the first in your family to be an entrepreneur and to start up a business. I hope you've impacted others. Well, you've impacted your brother. He's certainly started up. And maybe your children will just automatically become entrepreneurs after
maybe
see what mommy's doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Hope to see you again soon. This is Dr. Sandi. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on The First, where no two stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.